A successful web-based presentation requires careful preparation. It really deserves the same amount of advanced planning as you would put into any other type of presentation or business activity. Plan out event timings. Web-based presentations typically have very rigid timelines and there's little room for exceeding deadlines. Plan out a schedule for each component of your presentation. For a 60-minute presentation, a possible scenario is to start 2 minutes after the hour to account for late arrivals. Spend a minute on introductory technical remarks explaining the web conferencing controls and how the audience can interact and provide feedback. Let the first speaker talk for 20 minutes. Take a couple of minutes for an audience poll. Let the second speaker talk for 20 minutes. Spend 13 minutes on an audience Q&A and spend a couple of minutes on closing remarks and action items. Your timing plan will be different based on the level of audience participation, number of speakers, and so on. Make sure that each presenter and moderator has a copy of the timing sheet so they know the amount of content that they need to deliver. Next is to rehearse the presentation. There's no substitute for rehearsal time. Each speaker needs to deliver his or her full presentation out loud as if there were an audience listening. Rehearsing is the only way to work out timing, find the right words, and become comfortable with transitions and segues between talking points. The audience, who most often is unable to see the presenter, can easily distinguish between a presenter who is confident, unrushed, and unflustered, and one who struggles with phrasing and pacing. Plan group rehearsals. Presenters should participate in a technical familiarization session so that they know how the web conferencing console works and how they'll interact with the audience. This session can be combined with a group run-through during which you check the flow of the presentation between presenters and the moderator if you're going to use one. Work out in advance whether speakers introduce each other or hand it back to the moderator when they finish their section. Know who will read out audience questions, identify any topics that should not be addressed during the public Q&A session. Also, set up your environment. Physical preparation includes setting up your environment and technology as a presenter. You need to eliminate items that could distract the audience from your informational content and message. Find a quiet room with a door. Presenting from a cubicle or open space environment offers too many opportunities for noise and distraction. If presenters will appear on camera, make sure that the background is free of visual distractions such as windows to public areas or other workers. Test for adequate lighting for webcams and consider shutting blinds on windows that may appear behind you. Also, maximize your audio quality. Never use a speakerphone or cell phone to deliver your presentation. Speakerphones pick up extraneous noises such as rustling papers and squeaking chairs. Cell phones are prone to audio dropouts, fuzzy sound, loss of battery power, and inconsistent volume levels. A high-quality headset is worth the investment if you plan on regularly delivering web-based presentations. Otherwise, use your telephone handset, a device specifically designed to deliver the human voice clearly over the limited bandwidth of a phone line. If you use computer-connected microphones or headsets as part of a voice-over Internet protocol solution, make sure that they're of high quality. All presenters should understand how to adjust volume levels and how to manage input devices on their computer. Presenting over the phone is usually easier than VoIP, but it commonly has the disadvantage of adding production costs to the event. Next is distractions and flow. Consider the length of your presentation and the size of your audience to help you decide if you should allow participants to also have rights to speak. You may wish to mute everyone except presenters to allow for a better flow of your presentation, especially if time is of the essence. Although participants will not be able to provide instant feedback verbally, most web conferencing tools also allow for virtual hand raising and text chat functionality as an alternative. Be sure to inform your audience of these ground rules before you begin your presentation. You might also explore whether the tool you're using has audible tones when participants enter and leave your session. These can be distracting and disruptive after you've started your presentation, but you might be able to turn them off. Use a checklist. Using a checklist is a great way to prevent any unforeseen issues and make sure that all the presenters are on the same page. Turn off cell phones and mobile devices so they don't distract you in the middle of a sentence. Mute your computer sound and shut down pop-ups and applications such as email and instant messaging that could pop up distracting messages while you're trying to concentrate on your delivery. Have the content you want your audience to see when they join your session up and running in your shared window ahead of time. Nobody needs to see your email or other confidential information when they log into your session. If you're going to be using two monitors, one for your audience and one for your own private viewing, make sure you have the right one selected for each. Have all of the files you'll be using in your presentation readily accessible. These could be the files and content your audience will see, but also the files you might be accessing for yourself during the presentation. And keep a glass of liquid handy to combat dry mouth. And if you have two telephone lines, make sure that second line doesn't ring during your presentation. Next is mental preparation. In most cases, you'll likely be presenting in a physical room by yourself. This means you'll need to rely on the web conferencing tools for feedback from the audience. There will be no faces to read. You will not know if you should speed up or slow down without asking. So, remember to take intermittent pauses to ask questions in reverse. For example, is there anyone who can't see my screen? Indicate so using the tool. And consider whether or not to include video in your web presentations. If you're going to be showing video content in your presentation, consider the connection speeds of participants and whether they'll be able to view the content. Embedded video within the web presentation can reach attendees at different speeds, so you may wish to instead share a video link to participants.